We're gonna start first with the it's okay if we get started, right, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna do the reading of the open meeting law. Commissioner Robillard, would you mind doing that?
Pursuant to the open meeting law, I used to have it in front of me. I'm drawing a blank right now.
I have
pursuant. You have it, Dennis?
I do.
I'm drawing a blank. Would you mind?
Nope. Give me a chance to find it. Okay, I found it. So, pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting, or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are thereby advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call, Catherine Destrums.
Chairman Dennis Pacelli.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco. Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco.
I think
Present.
She's muted. Oh, okay.
I didn't hear her. Sorry. Commissioner Lisa Silva.
Here.
Commissioner Danny Robillard.
Here.
And Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza. And Attorney Gary Howiak.
Okay, we're going to take an item out of order because one of our Commissioner Lisa Silver has to take her daughters to the doctor at 3:30. So we're going to move to under, I believe it's under finance. We're going to do the police cruiser issue. So,
motion to take the agenda out of order.
Okay, do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. With the open meeting law, we're going to do a quick roll call. So if everybody can unmute themselves, we'll go quickly through the roll call. Catherine?
Chairman Dennis Pacelli.
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco.
Yes.
Commissioner Lisa Silva.
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Robillard.
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, before we take up the motion, I'd like to know from Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza if she has any information to give us regarding the two police cruisers issue original vote that we took last August 8th, 2019, and if there's been any developments in that area before we take up the motion.
I did speak with the Chief Financial Officer, Mary Sahadi, and what Mary advised is that if the Commission so desired and wanted to lease police cruisers and then allow the city to utilize them, that would be fine. But the issue would be for an outright purchase of a vehicle. The funding source for those vehicles would need to be deposited in city coffers prior to any purchase of these vehicles. It's not something where, you could say we're going to buy them out for 4 years and put so much money in per year. It has to be where the funding mechanism can be identified at that time. So that was the issue, I believe, initially, where the former city administrator was supportive of the purchase, but the funding mechanism was not identified for the CFO to be able to allow the purchase of the vehicles. So whatever the Commission's will is after a vote, Ms. Hardy said she will work with us to make certain that whatever the commission would like is carried out.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing that. I apologize for hitting you with all the history way back. Okay, can I get a sense of what the commission's wish is then? Should we go for the original proposal of one and then they come back next year? Can I hear from someone?
I would like to make a motion that we move forward with the purchase of one police cruiser at this time.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion? Don't hesitate to unmute yourselves if you need to speak, if you want to speak. Do I hear a second to that? I'm not hearing a second. Okay, I need some help on options here. What do we does a second mean that this motion is dead? Is that what it means? I just need some help here.
Well, without a second, we should move the order of business, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. As long as the record shows that there was no second to the motion on the purchase of one police cruisers, the issue is hereby resolved.
Okay.
The next item is we'll go back to the original, and that I believe would be public input. Is there any public input? Hearing no public input. Approval of the minutes of the meeting of August 12th. August 12th, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes of August 12th, 2020 of the meeting of the Fall River Disability Commission.
Okay. Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay. Those.
Roll call.
Oh, Danny, Commissioner, thanks for reminding me. All votes have to be by roll call because of the method that we're using in keeping with the open meeting law. So I'll ask you, everybody can unmute themselves, and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Chairman Dennis Porcelli,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco,
Yes.
Commissioner Lisa Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Robillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza.
Okay. The next item is I'm pleased to introduce for a presentation asking for the support of the Commission for an ADA Municipal Improvement Grant, which I think is a very good program that Mass Office on Disability offers. That's how we did the transition plan. Mr. Chris Gallagher, who's the Director of Buildings and Grounds for the City of Fall River, and the grant writer, Ms. Jane DiBiasio, and both of you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for inviting us to talk about this important funding opportunity. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Again, this year, the Massachusetts Office on Disability has issued a grant opportunity. It's called the Municipal ADA Improvement Grant. The opportunity opened August 10th, closes on October 9th, 2020, which means that we must submit our application by October 9th, very latest. The idea or the purpose of the grant funding is to support capital improvements that municipal buildings that will remove barriers and create and improve accessible features and access. That's the purpose of the funding. And we may request up to $250,000 for a project or projects. We can ask for more than one project to be funded with up to $250,000. I just want to give you a little bit of background before Chris Gallagher explains what our proposed project, or our projects actually in this case, will be. I want to explain that back in 2018, and some of you may recall this, the city did apply for a planning grant to the Mass Office on Disability, and that provided us with funding which we used to contract with the Institute for Human-Centered, I remember what the D stands for. I'm sorry, hang on one second. Human-Centered Design. Sorry, I don't know why I can't remember that. So we contracted with the Institute for Human-Centered Design, and they conducted a self-evaluation and a transition plan for us. And what that means is that they looked at the entire government center in this case, outside and inside, and identified some issues, some barriers to access. They also provided us with some ideas for solutions or suggestions to, break down those barriers. And they also gave us an estimated cost of what those items would be to improve them or to remove them. Two of the things that were mentioned in that plan that they developed for us were raised braille signage and also the accessibility of the city council hearing room and council chambers. And those are two of the those are actually the projects that we're going to propose, and Chris is going to talk a little bit more in depth about. We already have design plans. Architects did for the city council chambers and hearing room, so we have those in hand, and we'll be pretty ready to go out to bid for the actual construction. So as the chairman mentioned, we are today happy to explain the project to you and ask for your support in a written letter of support signed by the members of the Commission on Disability. So at this point, I want to turn it over to, unless you have questions of me, but Chris Gallagher will explain what our proposed projects entail specifically. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commission.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We've discussed some of these plans before, and what we were looking at to level the hearing room so that it's fully accessible for people to go down and present cases or anything that they may have that want to present to any of the boards that have any type of hearings or meetings that they may want in that particular room. As well as the council chambers, the ramp that's there is not accessible. It's accessible for Danny. Danny, I think, can tell you better than I can. It works for him with his chair, being that it's powered, but somebody who had to push themselves up there by hand, it doesn't quite make it. And it poses a little bit of a barrier to get in and on to the council floor if you would like to speak to the council. So we plans on putting a regulation style ramp in there that would coincide what the design is in the council hearing room. It will go down in front of the seating, so when you come in, it's pretty much where the ramp is now. When you're inside the room, it's actually to the left-hand side, and it would go down in front of the seats and bring you right to the floor in a nice transition. One of the other things we were looking at for this grant as well was the signage, the braille signage. I know that we have that, I believe, on the second page as part of another one as Part B. We were going to put this into the grant. I've got all my costs. Actually, yesterday was sent to me, and we're at about it's $14,375. I think is what it came out to actually sign the entire building in braille. That includes mechanical rooms, bathrooms, stairwells, electrical rooms, custodial offices, custodial rooms. So the entire building would then be braille for that, and that we would actually be doing the main sign in the lobby, so that somebody is able to find that sign and read it, and then they would be able to go to the floors and find the particular offices. So hopefully that this grant that we'll be able to get with your support in the letter. I'm also looking to put in $50,000 of my budget towards this, which would then allow us, we're rated on a point system for the grants. So with that, I think we'd have close to $300,000 with all the projects, with designs, with the $14,000. I think we're at a pretty close to $300,000 with design. That would be with design. It's $310,000. So I think we had a little savings in the signage at $14,000. The handicap ramp was at $56,000. The hearing room was $202,000, and it was $19,800 for the design for the hearing room, $13,000 for the design, 13 and change for the design for stock architects, putting just us a little over $300,000. So between the $50,000 that I'll be placing in out of my budget and the $250,000 that we hopefully get in the grant, we will be able to move forward and be able to do all of these projects and get all of these projects completed simultaneously as to making a huge impact in this building. We're also looking at some of the other things that won't be part of this grant, which we're looking at the CARES Act money, being able to do things that in the future for covert and stuff, which then would allow us to have glass windows and counters accessible to ADA, and that would be through the CARES Act funding, and we'll hopefully be able to do that. So hopefully next year you'll see this building pretty much being fully accessible in all office spaces, all rooms, to be what we want it to be. So I'd ask for a support from the commission that I could get a support to go forward with this grant so that we may pursue this funding.
And do I hear a motion to? Oh, go ahead. I think I hear someone. Go ahead.
Motion to have the commission endorse a letter of support for an ADA improvement grant for the Buildings and Grounds Director, Mr. Chris Gallagher, and the grant writer, Ms. DiBiasio.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay. If you unmute yourselves, I'm sorry, let me ask if there's any discussion.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Gallagher, assuming we get the grant, what's the timeline of completion?
We have to have it completed by, I believe it would be June 30th of 2021.
And how long will it take before we get an answer as to whether we've received the grant or not?
I believe it's the end of December.
Of this year?
Yes.
I would ask as soon as you get notification as to whether we have received this grant or not as a city and a commission, that you would hastily notify the commission.
Oh, absolutely.
Just whether it's been awarded or not.
Okay.
Okay.
And if it isn't, the $50,000 I have will definitely go towards the signage. I would start that immediately. If for some reason we didn't get the grant or the full funding, that I would start the signage immediately with the money that I was going to put towards the grant. So I could, let's say the $14,000 and then use the difference to give in towards the grant. I'd just like to see it as a full package deal to go as a grant. I think we have a better chance of receiving the full funding if we allow it to go that way. But if not, I would have the capabilities of being able to pay for it and move forward with it immediately.
How many separate projects? I'm sorry, I had a little trouble hearing through the phone. How many separate projects, if we're awarded the full grant, how many separate projects are being done?
Three three major ones. We have the hearing room, the council chamber, ramp, and also the signage throughout the entire building.
Yeah, the signage, we've been waiting for 8 years, so that I think is immensely necessary. The city and the commission, in my personal opinion, speaking just for myself, has done a poor job serving the blind and visually impaired community. So that, I think, is of the essence immediately, number one. Number two, the hearing room on the first floor has absolutely no handicap access whatsoever. It just doesn't exist. If you want to speak at the hearing room, they make allowances by allowing disabled citizens to speak at the top, but that's the best you can do. As far as the council chamber, the ramp that's there may not be great right now, but I would argue that anybody using a manual wheelchair will have difficulty, very likely, getting up any ramp that we put there. I'm not discouraging the project, of course. I'm in full support of it. But any manual chair user is going to have difficulty going up a ramp like that. It's just the way it is. But I wish you luck. I hope we get the grant, and I hope the project gets completed quickly once the grant is received. For any reason, if it isn't, I'd ask you to notify the commission, and I would hope the commission would work with your department using some of the commission funding if necessary in a small way, which we would be able to do, or I would recommend we would do. Thank you very much. I yield.
Thank you.
I thought I heard somebody else. Okay, we're ready to take the vote.
Okay, Chairman
roll call.
Dennis.
You can all unmute yourselves for a roll call.
Chairman Dennis Pacelli.
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco. Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco. Commissioner Lisa Silva.
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Robillard.
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza.
Yes.
Is Vice Chair Debbie Pacheco unmuted?
I'm here.
For a
Can you
vote?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Debbie.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
Do you want to give your vote?
Yes.
Okay.
My vote is yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Dennis, I'll be excusing myself now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Lisa Silva. Okay, so the motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Chris and Ms. DiBiasio. Thanks very, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next issue is work group updates, ADA, and actually, Chris, you addressed one of our concerns, and that was the signage. That was one of the items under ADA update. I don't know if we need to hear any more on that.
No updates at this time, Mr. Chairman. I was going to make comment, but in light of the report we received from Mr. Gallagher, I'm going to hold off and see how things progress.
Okay. Next is policies, Vice Chair Debbie
No
Pacheco.
updates at this time.
Okay. Finance, there's no updates at this time. Outreach. I just have one update item on outreach. We could get more people involved if they wish. But I've been asked if I would represent the commission on a coalition dealing with age dementia friendly. program that's being started, that has been started by the Bristol Elder Services. And I've been receiving their notes, their minutes, and this morning I attended for the first time, because it always conflicts with my staff meeting with where I work, but I was able to attend this morning their meeting. It really seems like a good coalition. I've asked to add Lisa Silver to the list, and I got Lisa's permission because of Lisa's work. And if anybody else is interested, I can give the name to Nancy Munson. If anyone else is interested in monitoring the progress of this group, it's a whole program that's a little bigger that goes beyond the Purple Table program that we heard a presentation on last year. So I will continue to do what I can to monitor, and if anybody else is interested, the meetings are on Zoom for now, and I can give Nancy Munson your names, and whenever there's a Zoom meeting with that group, I think it's once a month, you'll be on that list. So that's the only outreach item I have. I think these kind of relationships are important and they're good. And it helps to get some of the disability issues into the thing. One of the things that came out this morning is that I've asked Nancy to put the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind on that list because macular degeneration and other issues are very big with the aging process and visual impairment. And there was a lot of references to print materials and print surveys and things like that, and I really felt that MCB, Mass Commission for the Blind, should be represented in that coalition. So we'll wait and see what happens on that. There's no other items under outreach. Old business? Wow. Okay, new business. This is the Share Foundation and Les Corey. And I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Danny Robillard.
Mr. Chairman, I had something that I was going to suggest, but before I do it, I want to get some more information. So I'm going to just note the passing of Wes Corey, who was a disability pioneer, has done a lot of good work. The work of the Share Foundation continues, and I will have more to say about this next month.
Okay, I'll put it on the agenda next month.
And with that, I yield.
Okay. The next item is the election of officers for the coming year. I'm going to ask Commission Vice Chair Debbie Pacheco if she would run the first election for the office for chair.
All right. Do we have, at this time, we have the elections of officers for the upcoming year. The first election of officer is chair.
I'd like to make a motion to elect Dennis Pacelli, the chair of the Florida Disability Commission, for the year 2020 through the entire year of 2021 till September of 2021, for the period of 1 year. And I make that in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. And I believe we have to do roll call.
Roll call, yep.
Chairman Dennis Pacelli?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco?
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Robillard?
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. Mr. Pacelli, congratulations. Do you get to take over at this point?
He does.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The next position is the election is for the position of Vice Chair. Do I hear any nominations?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Debbie Pacheco for the position of Vice Chair for the forthcoming year.
Do I hear a
I'll
second
second
to
that motion.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Chairman Dennis Pacelli?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Lisa Silva, Commissioner Danny Robillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza.
Yes.
Congratulations, Vice Chair,
Oh,
Madam
thank
Vice
you, Chair.
Chair. The next is for the position of Secretary. Do I hear any nominations?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
who is the current secretary at this time?
Lisa Silva.
I'd like to nominate Lisa Silva for the position of secretary for the forthcoming year.
I'll
Do I
second
hear-
that.
Okay.
One point of clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The reason I asked who the secretary was, I was not a member of the commission last year during the nomination of officers process.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay. Ready for a roll call vote? You can unmute
Chairman Dennis
yourselves.
Pacelli,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco,
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Robillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations, team.
Thank you, Mr. Pacelli.
You're very welcome. I don't see any, unless I'm missing something. There is no items on this agenda. We've completed the agenda. Our next meeting then will be, I don't have my calendar. Yes, October 14th, Wednesday, October 14th. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn at this time.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote?
Chairman Dennis Pacelli,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Debbie Pacheco,
Yes.
Commissioner Danny Robillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Ann O'Neill Souza.
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.